Survivors of sexual abuse say they are outraged it took more than 15 years to defrock a paedophile priest after he was convicted. Former Dunedin priest Magnus Murray has been removed from the priesthood following a formal church judicial process. This was after he pleaded guilty to sexual offending against 4 boys between 1958 and 1972. While some have welcomed the defrocking, others say it is too little, too late. Tess Brunton reports from Dunedin.
Dunedin sexual abuse survivor Daryl Smith says he's angry that Magnus Murray wasn't defrocked earlier. He knows someone who suffered at the hands of Magnus Murray and says the church has had the wrong priorities.
He is a convicted paedophile and he gets treated better than the survivors do. And that's from the Catholic Church, they treat him a lot better in Auckland than they do in the survivors in Dunedin. His victims get treated. I know personally some of them here in Dunedin are quite upset about it.
Magnus Murray previously served as a Catholic priest of the Dunedin and Hamilton diocese before retiring in 1990. He was later found guilty of abusing 4 Dunedin boys over a 14-year period and was convicted in 2003. Despite that conviction, he retained the title of priest. The church judicial process only started in February last year, 15 years after the conviction, and the decision was revealed yesterday. Daryl Smith says it's the indefinite wait for action that compounds the suffering of survivors.
It makes it even harder for the person to cope going, well, where's the Vatican? The Vatican's not taking them seriously about deflocking. He should have been deflocked in 1970s.
Male survivors Otago National Advocate Ken Clearwater says the wait was unacceptable and he wants to know why it took so long.
It's a continuation of the Vatican and the Catholic Church in covering up the sexual abuse of children. No other organisation in the world would be able to get away with what they get away with. So they may be feeling good about themselves at the moment, but it's totally unacceptable the length of time. He should have been defrocked the moment that he was convicted of sexually abusing children.
The Catholic Bishop of Hamilton, Steve Lowe, says the former priest's age and health, he is now in his 90s, complicated the process. He says he hopes the defrocking will bring some sense of justice, even though it doesn't take away the harm he inflicted. Bishop Lowe says the defrocking is a signal that sexual abuse has no place in the church. And while it's a very late step forward, Ken Clearwater says victims will relive the trauma and will need the support they never got at the time.
Now that he's been defrocked, of course, that will bring it all back for those survivors. So they'll be going through a lot of trauma and also the fact that they hadn't had anything happen before.
Defrocking doesn't really make a difference for some survivors. Daryl Smith says it's more of an issue of public image than justice. He has a message for the church.
The Catholic Church needs to wake up. We're not talking about Dunedin diocese, we're talking about the whole lot need to just wake up. Wake up and go, hey, we've done this. Put your hand up and be honest and go, hey, no more cover-ups. Hand over documents to police. Hand over pedophiles to the police that you know and you've hidden or you've sent overseas. Hand them to the police.
Bishop Steve Lowe urges anyone who has experienced sexual abuse by a priest or church member to contact the church's National Office of Professional Standards. There's an 0800 number on its website and a message encouraging other victims to come forward if they wish. It says the church will assist anyone who wants to report any abuse directly to the police. In Dunedin, Tess Brunton, Tēnei.